Yes, it's the first liberty after a long cruise. And come to think of it, yesterday was payday. There'll be some big doings around town tonight, and everybody seems to think that's a strictly 4-0 situation. Or do they? Hey, you, Joe Baker, you don't look very enthusiastic. Let's find out a little bit more about this. Oh, so that's it. You've drawn shore patrol duty. And to put it mildly, you had other plans for this liberty. Very different plans, in fact. But maybe there's something else bothering you, Joe. You don't know much about the job of shore patrol, do you? Up to now, an SP has been some other guy with an armband and a duty belt. But it's going to be Joe Baker wearing that armband today, and the same thing can happen to any sailor that has a crow on his sleeve.
All right, we've gone over shore patrol duty in general. Are there any questions? Well, you will have some questions later. And remember, when in doubt, you know the phone number here. Use it. Now, before we start out, let's be sure we're all squared away on the 3 main points. The first point is this. Your biggest job is to keep things from happening. That is, anything and everything that can foul up a liberty for a sailor, get him into trouble with anybody. Keep those things from happening and nobody has a headache, including yourself. But if something does happen, remember the second main point. You represent the commanding officer of the sailor involved. Therefore, your job is to report everything that's happened to the commanding officer of the man involved. And make sure you get all the facts and get them straight. Finally, you have authority to use as much force as necessary to carry out your duties. But use only as much force as is absolutely necessary. And any man who uses more force than is absolutely necessary is going to be in trouble himself. In plenty of trouble. Therefore, this club should stay in your belt at all times, unless you must use it in self-defense. On your way out, take a look at this photograph. This man is a deserter. He's been seen in town recently. If you should see him, call the civilian police immediately. Okay, Chief, post your patrol. Aye, aye, sir.
Yep. Shore patrol has sure enough happened to you, Joe. And in a way, it's not so bad either. Of course, it helps to have Bill Page along. He's had plenty of SP duty. He knows the ropes. After a while, you realize that you are the Navy to a lot of civilians. And they're sure you have all the answers, too. My grandson's in the Navy, and he says they have field day every week. Does that mean they go out and play games? Oh, brother, you hear everything, and you do the best you can. Naturally, when you realize you're being the Navy, you start putting a little more zing into the deal. Yeah, mighty sharp. Sometimes, of course, the Navy does not look so good. Then you do something about it.
Hey, sailor.
Who? Me?
Let's square the hat, sailor. Now the neckerchief. Let me see your ID card and Liberty Pass.
What kind of a town is this, anyhow? Inspection on every street corner?
You gonna break them out?
Ah, for crying out loud.
Okay, sailor, that's all.
Say, Bill, that sailor was trying to give you a bad time.
Yeah, he was trying. But I'll generally settle for a guy just doing what I tell him to do. Griping while he does it makes him any happier? Let him gripe.
You begin to realize that shore patrol is a job that takes some knowing. For instance, you don't go on to civilian property unless the owner or the manager asks for your assistance. Of course, if you have orders to go into certain establishments, you can go in, look the place over, See that everything's under control. You learn to keep a lookout for sailors who seem lost, and you'd be surprised how many guys you find adrift around town. The air station? Oh, that's way out the other side of town, naturally. Traveling on orders? Let's see them, please. Uh-huh. Why not call the station and see if you can promote a ride out there? That drugstore over there will have a phone. You notice that Bill Page always checks the ID card of any sailor he's dealing with. And he always checks the sailor's liberty pass, travel orders, or leave papers, as the case may be. He never misses. You know, that's what any shore patrol is supposed to do, but Bill seems dead set on it. So, when you and Bill take a break, you try to find out why Bill is so doggone serious-minded.
Well, Joe, you check the ID card to make sure the guy you're talking to really is a sailor. Every once in a while, some young punk gets himself rigged up in some kind of a sailor suit. Then the real sailors get the blame for the messes he stirs up.
It'd be a pleasure to spot a guy like that. But all this checking of liberty passes, or leave papers, or orders, every time you're talking to a sailor.
Seems kind of small time to you, that is?
A little bit, maybe.
Well, the way I look at it, the guy comes ashore, gets himself in some kind of a wing-ding, and he just doesn't knock it off in time.
Well, that's the way it happens.
So he's over leave. Chances are he's also hung over. Maybe still a little bit tight. Or maybe he's still got nothing but a gal on his mind. I say that guy needs somebody to start him back to his ship, right now.
Yeah, you've got something there. He'd be in a lot more trouble if he didn't make it till tomorrow.
Or until next week or next month. Going back gets harder all the time. So, the quicker somebody gets a hold of him, the better it's going to be for him.
One thing about this job, just about the time it's getting sort of routine, something crops up that's not so dull.
Hey, Shore Patrol!
What's the matter?
Have a little trouble there. Sailing a civilian.
Okay, we'll see what we can do. You probably won't need that.
All right.
Yep, there's a recipe for real trouble. A sailor and a civilian with a girl and some alcohol mixed in. That's a mighty explosive mixture. And that's a neat blocking job you're doing on the civilian, Joe. Nothing rough, but you're making it awfully hard for him to get around you. Now, just one more move and you're in. Get those men farther apart, get the sailors out of the place. Maybe the civilian did start it the way the sailors claim. Maybe the sailors were off base the way the civilian claims. But let's not have another fight to decide who started the last one. That's it, Bill. You and both the sailors will do your talking outside. You can't keep a scrap going when one team is outside and the other is inside. It just winds up with each guy telling what he would do if the other fellow was still around. And of course, that's the way the sailors are sounding off too. Outside, around the corner, in a quiet spot. But do you have something to say about that, Bill Page?
Look, nobody's going to clean up on anybody. Not around here tonight. Now, if you guys want to shove off right now, away from that bar, and away from the guy inside. And if you stay away, we'll forget about the whole thing.
And if I don't?
Then we'll take you in, you can tell it to the man. Now, which way do you want it?
Ah, come on, Pinky. We gotta meet those gals when they get off work. Yeah, sure. Come on. You know, Bill, I think it was that civilian inside who was mostly to blame.
I wouldn't be surprised, Joe. But, you know, there's not much future in holding court in a barroom. Get the sailors out of the place and out of sight quick. Then you can work it out from there.
Yep, the Army's right on the job, too.
Look, Bill, over there. See him? The guy in the middle with the loud sports shirt.
Hey, it looks like...
It's that deserter they showed us a picture of.
It looks like him.
Uh-oh, he spotted us. Come on, let's go get him.
Hold it, Joe. Remember what the man said, we don't arrest civilians.
Civilian, he's a deserter.
Yeah, we think he is. But we'll let the civilian police make sure of it. Look, you wait here, watch that pool room. If he comes out, you follow him.
What are you gonna do?
I'm going down the street and call the police.
Okay.
That's handling things the right way, Bill. Working with the civilian police, the men who should deal with anybody wearing civilian clothes. Whether or not he is a deserter, there'll be no kickbacks against you or the Navy. So there are more blocks to cover, more places to look into, more ID cards and Liberty passes to check, and a huddle with the air police along the way.
Sounds like somebody hit the jackpot.
Sounds like it. Let's see what gives.
Okay.
Would you come out of there, please? All right, would you two step down here so we can talk this over? Yeah, just come down here now. I know all about it, but whose car is it?
Hey, that fella's a good guy. I know him at Gipmo.
Now, will you stay out of my hair, please?
All right, let's get back in the man room to work.
Yeah, but that's Bill, what's his name?
Yeah, I know. That's all right. Let's stay back anyway.
Come on, guys, let's get back. Back with the other people. Come on.
What do you got here, Sarge?
Don Devino, I get here on the scene, and these two jokers are at the car. Now, listen to this. Listen, which one of you guys was driving this car?
He was.
Him.
You know, I ran into that bar, and you said you had a car outside.
Honest, Sarge, I was standing right here by the corner, waiting for a bus.
Never mind. Never mind. You see what I mean?
Well, you got something.
Yeah, it may turn out to be a stolen car, too. We'll just have to take him in for a little checking.
Suppose so.
Sarge, before you go, I'd like to get some dope for my report.
Sure, and I want you to check on the sailor for me, too.
Oh, say, Sarge, you're going to have a doc check on the cut on the sailor's head?
Okay, we'll stop at the receiving hospital on the way.
Fair enough.
Bill, what's his name?
Yeah, I know. That's all right. Let's stay back.
So you make sure you have all the facts, names, times, places, the stories of what happened, and you do mean stories, plural. You make notes on everything. Back at headquarters, you find you need all the information you were able to gather. The shore patrol officer and the chief want the word in a hurry, and they start the wheels moving right away. But your job is not finished. There's still that report to the commanding officer of the sailor involved. Nobody needs to tell you now that your report is important to everybody, to the commanding officer, to the sailor, to you yourself. Therefore, you report all the facts straight and clear. So finally, you've secured, you head back to your ship. And maybe, Joe, you're wondering just what the day has added up to. Well, for one thing, you and Bill did a pretty good job of keeping things from happening. Maybe that was because you obviously were doing the right thing in the right way. When you called the civilian police to handle that man in civilian clothes, that may have kept plenty of grief from happening. When something did happen, you helped the civilian police control military personnel at the scene. Then you acted as representatives of the commanding officer of the sailor involved. You got all the facts, got them straight, and reported them fully. And, Joe, there never was a time when you and Bill had to use a lot of force. That ballroom fight could have turned out pretty rough if you hadn't gotten those sailors out of there. Back here at the landing, you can see another and the most important result of that time that you spent on shore patrol duty. Your shipmates made a good liberty, and so did a lot of other sailors. Maybe a little too good liberty in a few cases. But averaging it all out, everybody made out pretty well. Partly because you and some other petty officers wearing SP armbands saw to it that nothing got them seriously fouled up. In doing that, you've shown you can handle men and handle situations, that you can take over and make things work out. You've checked out tonight on a job that only a good man can handle well.